Let's talk San Francisco 49ers NFL draft favorite picks. Brandon Allen signing. What does that mean for the quarterback room? Speaking of that quarterback room, Sam Darnold, one 49ers beat writer, thinks maybe the best thrower in 49ers history. All that and more coming up on today's Locked On 49ers Live.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock here with you at BD Peacock on Twitter. Eric Crocker not with us today. He didn't want to show up after the thumping of the Warriors over the Lakers. Now he's in transit. I believe he is stuck on a layover somewhere in St. Louis right now. So if you're at the St. Louis airport, go find Eric Crocker hanging his head over a beverage, a little bit bummed out by his Lakers falling to the Golden State Warriors game 2 of this playoff series, which has been a lot of fun to talk about here on the podcast. But this is a 49ers podcast. Let's talk Niners in this episode. Thanks everybody for making Locked On 49ers your first listen every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. See people jumping in the live chat already. I appreciate you. Love seeing it. Spy Nick Danger, always one of the first to throw up the flames. Love that. He says, go Niners. Bang, bang from Val. Love seeing that. And so I already see some comments about Sam Darnold. We're going to talk about Sam Darnold's arm. Is he truly that great of a thrower? Maybe even the greatest in San Francisco 49ers history. Why was Matt Maiocco saying that? Is it something he's hearing from the organization? Is he a mouthpiece for the organization trying to primer the San Francisco 49ers for a situation where Sam Darnold is starting over a perfectly healthy Trey Lance potentially in 2023. Is that why that's happening? We can talk a little NFL draft too. So get your draft questions in here. Talk about some of the favorite picks and favorite things the 49ers did over the course of draft weekend. Some undrafted free agents as well on today's episode. Missing Croc. Yeah. Croc's doing all right. He's just hanging out in St. Louis on accident. That's what he's doing right now. Shout out to the Bay Area, the Golden State Warriors handling their business. Niners for life. Just pumped on that Dubs win. I've heard a lot from. It's pretty amazing how these fan bases interact and how many different fans there are of different franchises. And I've heard already. We asked last time we were live asking different fans that were Sacramento Kings fans that also are 49ers fans. Who are you rooting for? And I've about 50-50 Raiders or 50-50 Lakers and Warriors in this series. Some of them are rooting for both to lose. It's really interesting here. And it's funny how many different basketball fans. And I thought it was going to be a bigger percentage Warrior fans. And I think it is obviously a bigger collection of Warriors fans here for the 49ers faithful. But there's quite a few Lakers fans, shockingly, and it's not super shocking that a lot of Kings fans would be 49ers fans as well. Let's start with the latest news, which is Brandon Allen has signed a contract with the San Francisco 49ers, veteran quarterback, and he's a 30-year-old quarterback from Arkansas. He was drafted in the 6th round in 2016 by the Jacksonville Jaguars. He kind of bounced around the league a little bit. Jaguars, Denver Broncos, started a few games there in Denver. Not planned for the Denver Broncos for Brandon Allen to be starting games. Then went to the Cincinnati Bengals, was backing up Joe Burrow for the last 3 years there. Got in some action due to injury. But Brandon Allen is now signed and a San Francisco 49er. And the 49ers did not draft any players throughout the 2023 NFL draft. And it seemed like it was a big win for Trey Lance during the draft, for the 49ers to have not drafted a guy, especially in the middle rounds, but even later. And they didn't even sign anybody immediately after the draft. And now that Brandon Allen has signed, there is some conversation that maybe it could clue in, because since it wasn't an undrafted free agent that the 49ers brought in, it wasn't just a camp arm that is so easily cut. It's actually a veteran player that the 49ers brought in Brandon Allen. Some 49ers fans believe that maybe that means that there is still something up with the Trey Lance trade. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I think it's definitely possible that the 49ers just saw what happened. There was so many quarterbacks. I think 15 quarterbacks were drafted this year, which is absurd. And I don't think they were all that great. And I just think the quarterbacks went a little quicker than the 49ers expected in this draft. And probably they were sitting there and they're like, well, we don't really like anybody post-draft here. So why not sign a guy that we do like that is a professional quarterback in Brandon Allen? And we don't have any contract details yet on Brandon Allen. And forgive me if I missed those, and let me know in the chat if you have some details on a Brandon Allen contract. But I have to imagine there's zero guaranteed dollars, and Brandon Allen is someone that could absolutely be cut. And he's basically your veteran camp arm. But as we saw with the 49ers last year, with the need for so many quarterbacks that can play, they probably just erred on the side of, let's get a veteran quarterback in here at least that we like a little bit, rather than an undrafted free agent that for sure is not going to have any shot at making the roster. Brandon Allen could be a guy that ends up on the practice squad anyway, because you can have veterans on the practice squad these days. So I don't look into the Brandon Allen signing as anything important at all as far as the 49ers are concerned that has any impact on any other decisions that the 49ers are making, other than they wanted someone who could come in through OTAs, someone that could throw to their receivers, that is fully healthy, and that can help them throughout training camp. And then we'll see what happens with Brock Purdy. Speaking of Brock Purdy, a lot of KNBR conversations. KNBR, the sports leader, my former employer back in the day. Shout out to a lot of friends that I have over there. We'll talk a little bit about what Matt Maiocco said about Sam Darnold on KNBR. But John Lynch was on KNBR, and he was speaking about Brock Purdy and the timeline there. And, there were some headlines about it. It's, again, I think with a lot of headlines that happen in the offseason about the San Francisco 49ers, especially when it becomes, or as it pertains to quarterbacks, a lot of people want to make a bigger deal out of it than it actually is. And the headline was, Brock Purdy ready to throw. And, it was just like, nothing's changed. Nothing at all has changed is really what John Lynch said about Brock Purdy. 12 weeks, a little slip there, wink, 12 weeks. It will be 12 weeks, right? 12, because he's on once a week. So 12 weeks from post-surgery of Brock Purdy's UCL repair. He was scheduled to throw. And according to John Lynch, that is still the case. So and that's only a month away now. It's been a couple months now since surgery for Brock Purdy. So he'll start lobbing the ball, as John Lynch put it. Brock Purdy will start throwing the football as expected, 12 weeks. Then they'll know a little bit more, but we know now that he's on schedule. So all that this means with Brock Purdy is he's on schedule currently, which is a great sign. He's not off schedule, but he's not super far ahead. Nothing out of the ordinary happening here. They're going to reevaluate once he is able to start throwing and start his throwing program, which will ramp up extremely slowly, I imagine, post-UCL surgery as he starts to throw. 12 weeks post-surgery, which is where he starts to throw. And then at some point in the next 3 months after that, he could be cleared to be fully participating in all football, including game activities. So we'll see what the update is after he starts throwing. And the 49ers, according to John Lynch and according to doctors and according to everybody, even pre-surgery, that was always the plan. And good news that things are still going according to plan with Brock Purdy. Bionic Brock, they say in the chat. Better than before, better, stronger, faster. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what Brock Purdy's arm looks like. I mean, it's fascinating. A fascinating storyline for the San Francisco 49ers. And if they love Brock Purdy and he's their guy, why would they really do too much behind him anyway? Because there's a lot of talk about a lot of things, including Sam Darnold, including Brandon Allen, including Trey Lance, obviously, and maybe even Tom Brady now. And this story will not go away because Tom Brady, apparently, 51% chance, better than better than 50-50 odds, better than a coin flip that Tom Brady, according to reports, now might turn down his Fox broadcasting deal. So what does that mean? Let's get into that next. I want to get into the chat. Let me know, guys, what do you think was your favorite draft pick for the San Francisco 49ers and why? And which undrafted free agent do you think was your favorite pickup or you're most excited to see when camp rolls around for the San Francisco 49ers? Next. Today's episode of Locked On 49ers is brought to you by our friends at Built Bar. If you're looking for that delicious snack, but you don't want all the sugar and calories, and of course that's what you're looking for, then you need the best tasting protein bar ever, Built. You got to try this. If you're like me, you're trying to make snacking easy and healthy because, you try to avoid snacks. I get that, but sometimes you want to maybe even skip breakfast or you're skipping lunch. You need something. You want that protein though to tide you over. You don't want all those empty calories. You don't want all the sugar that might be in some snacks. And the one thing that's really helped me the most in my diet, and I'm down a few lbs, down about 8 lbs. I'm doing okay for myself. Is just get rid of the easy to grab snacks that are around you all day. Get them out of your purse. Get them out of your desk at work. Get them out of the glove box in your car. You got the bag of chips or the candy bars in that secret stash in your pantry at home. Get rid of them. Get a box of Built Bars in there. So when you reach for a snack, you're getting something that is good for you and healthy and tastes amazing. Built Bars and Built Puffs have 100% real chocolate. Most Built Bars. So if you don't like chocolate, there's a few flavors that aren't wrapped up in 100% real dark chocolate, but it really sets Built Bars off. You really feel like you're getting a treat. Most Built Bars have only 130 calories, only 4 grams of sugar, but a whopping 17 grams of protein to help you hit those macros that you're looking for in your diet. Unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter, puff, and cookies and cream. And not only can you find all the flavors and varieties at Built.com, you can find them at your local store shelves as well, like Walmart and Sam's Club. 4-bar boxes in the pharmacy section at Walmart and 13-bar boxes of hit flavors at Sam's Club. And of course, you can find everything at Built.com. All right. Thanks again, everybody, for jumping in on this live episode of Locked On 49ers. Sans Eric Crocker, seeing the chat here. And D. Winters seems to be a popular pick for a lot of fans that are excited about the 49ers draft and the 6th round pick. And I can't disagree with you guys about D. Winters, man. The more I watch D. Winters, this guy triggers hard down the hill. And when he sees it, he goes and gets it with his 4.49 speed. And he's only 5'11", 227. But to be honest with you, I don't care. That's the size of NFL linebackers these days. Like he fell probably because he's somewhat undersized. But to me, he's not even undersized. That's just free money. You go chase your 6'4" linebackers all you want in the 1st and 2nd round. I'll sit back on day 3 all day and get the same speed, get the same playmaking ability in a 5'11" more compact frame. I'm totally cool with that. We've seen it with Dre Greenlaw. We're seeing it now with D. Winters. Love the way he plays. Love the way he brings the thump as well, even though he's got some more compact size. Flies around the field when he sees it. He can absolutely go get it. So I'm with you guys about D. Winters, and the more I watch and the more I look at the 49ers draft class, D. Winters I think has an absolutely nearly a lock in my opinion. There could be a lot of things that happen, but when you just look at the 49ers depth chart and Azeez Al-Shaair left, I think D. Winters has a great opportunity to jump in and be top 3, top 4 linebacker on the San Francisco 49ers this year, and could probably make an appearance on special teams as well. And I think that's a theme for all the San Francisco 49ers day 3 picks is they're going to all compete there on special teams, and that's their path to making the roster. RLB2ESQ has been on the show a lot recently in the live stream, so I appreciate you jumping on. And he says, Jair Brown will see the field, but I really want to see Danny Gray in training camp and preseason. I like Jair Brown a lot. We're going to talk about when Croc is back with me next time. We're going to talk a little bit more about Matt Barrow's article recently. And he was speaking with, as he does every year, with former 49ers GM Scott McCloughan, who's well thought of around the league, a really good evaluator for other reasons. He's not NFL GM anymore, but a consultant to numerous teams around the league. And I think his evaluations are weighty and interesting to hear him talk about the San Francisco 49ers draft class. Some of the things that Croc and I saw, he sees some players a little bit differently, sees some players differently in the 49ers. And so I like to hear different evaluations from different folks around the league. And so that's always a great article. And we're going to reference that on the next episode. And his thoughts on Jair Brown are very interesting. Danny Gray. I'm interested to see Danny Gray too. And this is what happens with rookies, right? We get so excited about this year's rookie class. Last year's rookie class, almost every year you could say this in May, is the previous year's rookie class is way more important for the upcoming season than the current year's rookie class. And that's absolutely the case, I think, this year. And Jair Brown is an important player for the 49ers and has an opportunity to work in there, probably, back up both safety positions. Who knows? Maybe he just goes and takes that starting free safety job from Tashawn Gibson. But again, special teams could be his route to a lot of playing time and suiting up on Sundays and backing up both strong and free safety. And he's got the ability to do both of those things. Jake Moody, of course, competing in camp. Is it even a competition with Zane Gonzalez? Because you're not going to cut a third round pick. So if anything, Zane Gonzalez would have to be so good and so much better kicking field goals that they keep both kickers. And Moody is just, a kickoff specialist in his rookie season, and they allow Zane Gonzalez to kick field goals or something like that. But, they're not going to cut a third round pick in the first offseason. Who knows next year? We saw Roberto Aguayo not make it more than one season with the Bucs a few years back after being a second round kicker. The most recent kicker that was drafted on day 2 of the NFL draft. Jack Coletto. He's a really interesting one that I don't think we've talked about. Nice avatar, by the way, Jeremy, in the chat. Jack Coletto, Jack of all trades, Coletto. He's, former quarterback. He's kind of the Taysom Hill, the college version Taysom Hill. Potentially could. I don't think there's a path for him to making the roster for the San Francisco 49ers, but no doubt he'll be a preseason darling because of what he can do as linebacker, fullback, tight end, quarterback. He's one of those do-it-all type of players, and I think his path in the NFL is probably fullback, H-back type of a player. So we'll see what he looks like in camp for the San Francisco 49ers, but Kyle Juszczyk's not going anywhere, and the 49ers don't have room for an extra fullback. They're not going to carry a backup fullback. So unless he wins, and look, there's 2 draft picks ahead of him at tight end too. So Jack Coletto, love the story. Fun player. Probably a practice squad at best situation for Jack Coletto in this, unless there's just something unforeseen about what's going on with the San Francisco 49ers roster, specifically at fullback. Let's talk a little bit about, appreciate you guys out there, by the way, all the kind words. Oh, undrafted free agent Joey Fisher. I'm with you, Adrian. Undrafted free agent Joey Fisher looks promising also. Not sure if he's going to be as strong against NFL talent. A lot of promise, in my opinion. I agree with you there with that sentiment, Adrian. Look, the way he tossed people at Shepherd University and then again at the NFLPA College All-Star game. I mean, it's weird. Like, you see him, and it's not this really high effort, like, rah, and he's tossing guys, and you can see it doesn't look like a WWF move. He's just like, boop, and dudes go flying. Like, he has got crazy play strength. He's got functional weight room strength as well, putting up 40 reps of the 225 pounds at his pro day. Really athletic guy. I can't wait to see what Joey Fisher looks like against the huge step up in competition that he's going to see in the NFL. But man, a super fun player, and is probably going to be one of the big, highlights of camp and one of the fan favorite types of players. And last year, one of my favorite guys was Jason Poe at guard. So we got Joey Fisher and Jason Poe now at guard, and 2 really interesting, athletic interior offensive linemen that are somewhat undersized in a way. Fisher's bigger than Poe. Poe's only about 6 feet tall, but it's a fun group of undrafted offensive linemen. And since the 49ers didn't draft anybody, those guys have an opportunity to potentially stick this year. So I can't wait to see what that competition looks like on the interior with some of these guys and really at tackle, because the 49ers only signed 3 undrafted free agent guards, all of them interior guys. They drafted they signed a center post-draft. They signed Elm from Hawaii, Elm Manning, and Joey Fisher. So that's a really interesting group, and no tackles. So huge vote. A lot of people talk about Trey Lance, who is the big winner of the draft for the 49ers. Probably Colton McKivitz. Colton McKivitz, the huge winner. They didn't even draft. Not only did they not draft a third-round tackle, they didn't draft a tackle at all or sign a tackle at all post-draft. Only interior guys as undrafted free agents. So Matt Pryor, congratulations. You're the swing tackle, apparently. But the 49ers do have a little cap space, and so we'll see what that looks like in camp and if they add a body there. But really wild that they didn't really add anybody else to the tackle situation through draft weekend. Yeah, the 49ers signed a bunch of wide receivers as well. Let's talk about one of the most interesting ones, and fans got really excited, and I think it's a really cool story about one of the 49ers undrafted free agent wide receivers out of East Carolina, which was Isaiah Winstead. And he posted a tweet that was this: 6'4", 210, moving like this, no minicamp invite or undrafted free agent deal. Behind the scenes on what I can do with 88 catches and 1,100 yards this past season. God makes no mistakes. Thank you in advance. That was before he got signed by anyone. This is April 30th. After the draft, he didn't have any invites, no signings. And then the 49ers, the story goes that the 49ers signed him because of his highlight reel that he posted. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but the 49ers signed Isaiah Winstead out of East Carolina. He was a transfer from Toledo, was it? I believe, previously in his college career. And it's a great highlight film. And I went and watched some other tape of Isaiah Winstead. Fun player. Like he's 6'3" and an eighth, I believe, 210 pounds. He only ran a 4.7 at his pro day, 4.75, according to Dane Brugler of the Bees. Shout out to Dane Brugler, does a fantastic job, such a great resource. And Isaiah Winstead was like the 250th ranked wide receiver in the draft, and he had him in the beast, at least not a write-up, but at least had his height, weight, speed stuff. So you can tell by watching him. There's one of his clips, even in his own highlight reel, where there's a DB that catches up to him instantly on the perimeter going down the field. So not a lot of deep speed, but man, he displays quicks for a bigger wide receiver, and looks like he has some ball skills as well. And I went back and watched a few more games, and not just his own curated highlight tape, and it's fun. Very Juwan Jennings-like. You think about Juwan Jennings, 6'3", tall, big wide receiver, but has a little bit of athleticism in the short area that can get open and make plays on the football. That's what Isaiah Winstead is too. So maybe he's got a shot for the 49ers. Really cool story that he and hopefully, I hope the story is true, that literally the 49ers saw his highlight tape and his tweet, and we're like, let's give this guy a shot because we need another wide receiver, because Jadakiss Bonds was decided not to sign with us as an undrafted free agent. By the way, guy by the name of Jadakiss, fantastic name, right? Talking 90s, the 90s dads naming their kids after R&B stars of their day. Wanye Morris, offensive tackle that was drafted this year, and who was named after the Boyz II Men singer. So first of all, it makes me feel old, but I love seeing some of these names out there. All right. Fun fact, Nees says in the chat, Andrew Hawkins said Kyle Shanahan and Mike McDaniel saw his one-on-ones on YouTube, and that's how he became a Brown. Well, there you go. Early YouTube days there. Andrew Hawkins making it happen. I love it. Okay. I do want to talk about next Sam Darnold and the comments that Matt Maiocco made on KNBR about Sam Darnold being maybe the best thrower in 49ers history. Let's talk about it next. Thanks, everybody, for making Locked On 49ers your first listen every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Shout out to the everydayers. I hope you enjoyed all of our draft coverage, all the live stuff with the draft, but we ain't done with the draft coverage, because we're going deep dives on every prospect that the 49ers brought in. Next time with Croc, we're going to talk Ronnie Bell, Michigan wide receiver. Then Darrell Luter, South Alabama cornerback, and on and on. We're going to get through every prospect of your San Francisco 49ers. And we appreciate you being an everydayer with us every step of the way here on Locked On 49ers. Make sure you check out the Peacock and Williamson show every day, talking about the entire league as well. So, Matt Maiocco on KNBR Thursday had this to say, quote, speaking of Sam Darnold, he might be, can I say this? The most talented thrower of the football that the 49ers have ever had. Let's just put him in the very high echelon of guys who can just drop back in the pocket and throw the football. End quote. That's what Matt Maiocco said. And it's been making some waves on social media. People getting mad at Matt Maiocco, not Matt Barrows. I gotta get it right. Getting mad at Matt Maiocco for saying such things, disrespectful to a number of Hall of Famers in 49ers history, right? I'm not going to kill Maiocco too hard for this. There's two things. Is this Maiocco just saying that? Is this something that he's getting from the team? You know, he's being accused of being a mouthpiece for the team, and they're floating this to Maiocco to get people ready for the fact that, you know, putting everything positive spin about Darnold, because he's going to be the starter to start the year, because they know Brock Purdy's not going to be ready, and that it's not going to be Trey Lance, that Lance is going to get traded at some point, or that he's not going to be the starter and it's going to be Sam Darnold. I'm not going to say that. The 49ers signed Sam Darnold, so they like him enough for sure. But just judging by his contract and what he was paid, there's some guarantees there, but it's a backup quarterback contract. But, kind of like Jimmy's deal last year, if he starts a bunch of games, he's got some incentives in there if he does start. But clearly that's a break in case of emergency contract for Sam Darnold to start games and get paid more money than, whatever his $35 million was. What about just the statement? It's look, and I've heard Matt Maiocco on the radio for years, and I know Matt Maiocco's personality, and it's just a loose conversation. This is the offseason post-draft. This is not him saying, it's not him putting his flag in the ground saying, Sam Darnold, best thrower of a football in 49ers history. He's just kind of saying, look, this is a talented dude. That's the reason the 49ers brought him in. It's the reason he was a third pick in the NFL draft. He's a talented guy. He's a good thrower. He makes some good throws. Now, is there any truth to Sam Darnold being the best thrower in 49ers history? Well, no. But he's a good thrower. He's not even the best thrower currently on the roster. Trey Lance has a better arm than Sam Darnold does. Trey Lance can go left and throw the ball right. Trey Lance, we've seen, zip some passes in, even in his time as a 49er, even though he's only played 4 games as a 49er, really. We've seen enough from Trey Lance to know he's more talented physically. He's more athletic, and he can throw the football better. He's got a better arm. He might be scattershot with his accuracy at times, as Sam Darnold is. Sam Darnold's averaging almost 2 turnovers a game in his NFL career, and he can make some plays, and his highlight reel looks pretty good. I've said it before. Sam Darnold's highlight reel is a lot like my golf highlight reel. I started golfing during the pandemic. I'm not a good golfer, but former baseball player, I've got some swing speed. So occasionally, if I get it right, I can pipe a 300-yard drive down the middle of the fairway. And, once per round, I'll do that. And if you saw that hit and you saw, a nice little chip and a long putt, you would think, hey, you see the highlight reel, Peacock's a pretty good golfer. But if you followed me around and saw every shot, you'd realize I'm a garbage golfer. And that's what Sam Darnold's career has been. He's got some highlight throws. And really from the pocket, he's not that good. Most of his most impressive stuff is him kind of moving around and throwing some off-platform things. And he's a talented thrower of the football for sure. But, he's got a stronger arm than Joe Montana. I'll give you that. But Joe Montana was a better thrower. Accuracy, touch, right? Anticipation. It's not even close. Steve Young wasn't a real... the 49ers don't have a history of like John Elway's or, you think of the Packers who went from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. That's a ridiculous amount of, 30 years of absurd talented throwers, right? And the 49ers haven't had those types of arms really in their organization. Colin Kaepernick has the best fastball out of all of them, but not a lot of touch, right? So Sam Darnold has a good arm, but he doesn't have the best. He's not the best thrower in franchise history. Let's not get crazy. But I really think it's a tongue-in-cheek thing that, sort of a lighthearted thing that Matt Maiocco's saying, talking with these guys on the radio that he talks with every week, having some fun. Don't look too much into it. Is he a mouthpiece for the organization? I don't think so. I'm sure the organization has said some nice things about Sam Darnold, but they've said those publicly too. So they don't have to, sneak over to Matt Maiocco and say, hey, tell everybody he's the best thrower. That's not what's happening here. And, maybe they have, maybe Matt knows some things, and no doubt he knows some things more than, the average person here knows more than I do about the organization and the insides of the organization. He's been around the team for a long time. And so he might know that they're pretty high on Sam Darnold, but come on. I wouldn't take his comments too far. He's not the best thrower in franchise history. He's not a better thrower even than Trey Lance. And I think we'll see that from Trey Lance this year if Trey Lance actually gets that shot, which I think he will. And look, I still predict that they might, that they're not even going to share snaps. I know share has been used a lot as it pertains to Trey Lance and Sam Darnold about sharing snaps. I don't think it's going to be 50-50. I think it's going to be probably more like 2-1 Trey Lance getting snaps over Sam Darnold. Like Trey Lance needs as many snaps as he can get throughout camp. Trey Lance has an opportunity to earn the early season starting bid if Brock Purdy is gone. And he has to have enough opportunity to lose that opportunity if he's not good, but he needs the reps to try to get there. And if the 49ers don't give him that shot, then I just really don't even know what they're doing. And he's a more talented thrower than Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold's a talented guy, so, I mean, Sam Darnold's a better thrower than Jimmy Garoppolo. But Sam Darnold also throws the ball to the team even more than Jimmy G, which is the thing everybody hated the most about Jimmy Garoppolo. So we'll see. We'll see what it ends up looking like for the San Francisco 49ers with the quarterback position. But to me, it couldn't be more simple. It's Trey Lance, QB1, Sam Darnold, QB2, Brandon Allen, QB3, an extra camp arm guy, but a veteran that could come in and play if you have another disaster with everybody getting hurt at quarterback. And, who knows? Maybe some team does come calling and offer the 49ers something that they can't refuse for Trey Lance. But if that was going to happen, it probably would have happened during the draft. And since that didn't happen, and I think the 49ers were probably asking quite a bit, which they should be, Trey Lance is too talented. They gave up too much to get Trey Lance. I think he would have looked really good as the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers last year, and he deserves the shot. I want to see Trey Lance get that shot, and we'll see if that's how the 49ers see this thing as well. But, don't make too big of a deal about the whole Matt Maiocco thing. Big dog critical thinker here. He's a little bit concerned about that assessment. Don't be too concerned. It's a lighthearted radio interview, as they always are with Matt Maiocco and the KNBR guys. So, and we'll see. And look, this is not to just completely trash Sam Darnold either. He's a talented guy. He was drafted 3rd overall for a reason. The 49ers like him for a reason. But he's put so much bad tape out there over the course of his 55 NFL game career. I don't know how you would expect that he sees the field well, because he hasn't proven he can. And we'll find out if he's a lot better with the 49ers, and he should be better with the 49ers because he's a year older and he has a better coach and he's got better weapons around him. So he should probably be better with the 49ers than he's ever been anywhere else. But if he can't see the field, then it doesn't matter if he's a great thrower. It doesn't matter if he's a talented guy. It doesn't matter if you like his personality. If he can't see the field, it's game over for your NFL career. And he has not been able to see the field over the course of his NFL career. And even his last 6 games, that everyone wants to talk about, his 6-game stretch to end the year with the Panthers last year, it wasn't even that good. He had one game where he threw 3 touchdowns and an interception in the second to last game, which was a loss, by the way, which is the reason they allowed him to attempt 37 passes, is they're trying to come back to win the game. So over the course of that 6-game stretch where the Panthers went 4-2, that everyone's talks about, oh, Sam Darnold looked really good at the end of the year last year. Over those 6 games, he was still a sub 60% passer. He threw for 58.5%. He completed 58.5% of his passes, which is not great. He had 7 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. But he only threw the ball more than 24 times in one game, and that was that Week 17 game against Tampa that they lost, and so they're from behind throwing the ball, and it was a nice game, 341 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. But his most recent game was the season finale loss to the New Orleans Saints. They lost 10-7 to the Saints, who were not a great team last year. He completed 5 of 15 passes, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And go watch that game, and that was the most recent game in Sam Darnold's career, and he looked not good. He looked like his quarterbacking was worse than my golfing. We'll put it that way. So that's my Sam Darnold rant for the week. We'll see what Sam Darnold looks like with the 49ers. I hope it's the best Sam Darnold that he's ever been, and I have no doubt he will be the best Sam Darnold he's ever been, but the best Trey Lance that there's ever been will be better than the best Sam Darnold, and I'm hoping for that as well, and I think Trey Lance has that final opportunity for the 49ers to show what he is, not only to the 49ers, but maybe to the entire league in the preseason, depending on what the timeline ends up being for Brock Purdy and when he's back. All right. And I don't want to hear about Kirk Cousins or Tom Brady anymore either. The 49ers quarterback situation is just unreal, man. It is unbelievable. And every week there is something like clockwork. It's wild. It's wild. But it gives me more content here, so I can't say that I hate it completely. You know what I really love, though, is everybody jumping in on this live episode of Locked On 49ers. Thank you to all the everydayers. I'll be back right here with Mr. Eric Crocker, no doubt talking about a big Dubs win right here, Locked On 49ers.